Welcome back to Human to Human. I am your host, Jess, and I have an amazing guest on the show today named Alessia. This episode feels like big sister advice that I know I've been needing. Alessia and I talk a lot about the stage in life that I'm currently in, which is going into my fourth year of university, creeping up on the time where I have to decide what to do with my life and my career. And Alessia talks about her job in finance and leaving that toxic environment. We touch on the importance of following your dreams and your passions, and we talk about friendships, we talk about hard seasons, and of course, we talk about workouts and finding workouts that feel good for you. No sacrifices summer, which we discuss at the very end of the episode, all about living a summer that is about feeling your best, throwing in those quickie workouts, indulging in the food and the drinks, not depriving yourself, and just having fun. I really appreciate Alessia coming on. I feel like I just got to pick her brain about all the things I'm struggling with, and she gets really, really vulnerable. And overall, it's just a great convo if you are looking for some comfort and validation in the hard seasons and the hard decisions we have to make in life, and have a laugh while you're doing it. So stay tuned. And also, I have very exciting updates coming. I have the 2-year anniversary of Human to Human coming up. It's Human to Human turns 2. I can't believe I've been doing this show for that long. And I have a big announcement, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on those new episodes coming. And follow us on Instagram at Human to Human Pod, and my personal is at Jessica J. McDonald. Well, Alessia, welcome to Human to Human. I am here with the founder of a Sculpt Body, which is a digital workout class. There's no equipment. It's a low impact workout style. And I really love that your focus is on whole body wellness. It's not about rapid transformations or aesthetics and focusing on how you look. I think that's really important. I feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves to work out in ways that we feel like we should be doing, like that heavy duty weightlifting or hitting the gym all the time. And so I'm excited to chat with you about working out and doing it in a way that feels good for you. And so do you want to start with kind of introducing yourself and the mission behind a Sculpt Body?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to chat about all these things. I am Alessia, the founder of A Sculpt Body, which is an online fitness platform with all low impact workouts. And my mission is really to empower my community to move in a way that feels really, really good and is truly focused on how you feel instead of how you look, how much you weigh, what your measurements are, anything like that. It's really like the opposite of what most traditional fitness platforms are about. We don't do the bikini body thing. We don't prep for summer. We don't do any of those things. We work out because we know it makes us feel really good. It gives us energy. It gives us mental clarity, helps us with sleep and all the things, not because we want to, look a certain way. So I'm super excited to be chatting with you today about all of this.
I love it. I love that you mentioned that it's about getting better sleep and feeling good and feeling energized rather than looking in the mirror, because it's great to feel those important benefits and the aesthetics can be an extra bonus. But I think when you focus more on how it feels and enjoying how you're working out, it's more sustainable and you can look forward to it rather than want your workout just to be over.
Absolutely. And focusing on how you feel with working out is what builds consistency. Because what often happens is when people focus on what they look like, they go to the gym once, twice, even 10 times, and they're like, I don't see results. Like, where are the abs? Where are like the sculpted arms or whatever it is? And then they give up because they're like, well, I don't see it. So like, I'm not going to keep going anymore. And so the way to actually build that consistency is to focus on how you feel, because if you work out and then you have an amazing sleep that night, it's like, okay, wait, I want to do that again tomorrow because I know I'm going to feel the benefit. I might not see it right away, but I'm going to feel the benefit as early as later today, tonight, tomorrow. So that's always, I get asked a lot, like, what is the key to sticking with working out and to staying motivated? And it's that focus on how you feel instead of how you look, because that's what's going to keep you consistent and coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you find workouts that really were enjoyable for you? Because I've gone all over the spectrum between
Yeah.
hitting the gym and weightlifting, and now I'm doing some dance classes or yoga or just some Pilates work. What did you find really helped for you?
So I'm like you. I feel like I tried everything all over. I've done it all. I've done, I've gone through phases in my workouts, the heavier weights, the lighter weights, the yoga, the gym, the classes, all of that. But what ultimately got me into fitness was finding group fitness, like in-person classes, probably now 10, 11 years ago. When I was 20, my mom passed away and she was super into working out. And the studio that she used to work out at all the time held a workout class in her honor, like a few months after she passed, to raise money for the hospital that she had been treated at. So I went to support this event. I'd never worked out like a day in my life. And I I couldn't breathe during class. It was like the hardest thing I've ever done because I was never athletic growing up. I never did sports. My parents put me in like house league soccer, but like I never was like, that person at all. So that was really the first like hard workout I had done. And I left being like, I am so embarrassed. My mom used to do this all the time. I'm with all these like 60-year-old women who are killing it in this class. And I'm like gassed. So, but I had fun. So that was my first experience with a workout that could be fun. Up until that point, it was really like, gym class, like being forced to do it. And after leaving that class, I had so much fun. It was really hard, but I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. So that was like my initial foray into fitness. And I loved the group environment. I feel like it's so key to find an instructor and an environment that you connect with, that you feel safe in, that you're not embarrassed in. Because the first while is like hard, especially doing hard workouts, right? And then I've experimented with some, like I went through like a gym phase, heavier weightlifting. Then I was back to doing classes, but high impact classes. So this was when I was working. So I have a previous life in finance. And when I was working in finance, I was doing all these classes to kind of keep me sane when I was working. They were really like the highlight of my day. But I would do these classes hoping that they would make me feel really good. And in many ways they did, but I would get injured all the time because it was like squat jumps, burpees, like all those kinds of things, like so intense. And sometimes I would need to like rest after class because it was like so much energy exertion. So when I started to think about, okay, well, if I'm going to create my own fitness platform, what am I going to focus on? I knew like pretty early on, it was going to be low impact sculpting workouts with no jumping to keep the body safe. So you actually feel really good after, not like, oh no, I hurt myself here, or this was too hard, or anything like that. So now I'm focused on low impact workouts. And that's what really, after trying all the things, that's what really like I connect with and what I've been able to stick with now for many, many years.
Yeah, that's so important because when you're going so hard, I've listened to a few podcasts that you've been on, and you talk a lot about being in that finance world and how draining and toxic it was for you. So it makes sense that at that time you go to an extreme level of exertion and exercise and using that as a release. And when you find a space where I'm sure you enjoy what you're doing because you've created this amazing platform, you're like, you know what? Like, I don't need to do these workouts that are going to hurt me. And you end up going just on a roller coaster of like, I'm on a really good streak of working out and now my knee is like torn or something. And then you're just low.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was so frustrating because it was like, I'm working out because I know it makes me feel really good. I know it's good for me. And there's all these amazing benefits, but I'm hurting myself. Like when I used to do the high impact workouts and I would be doing squat jumps and I had a lot of knee issues. And I actually went to see a sports doctor and I thought, have I torn something? What happened? And the doctor was like, no, it's just so inflamed from all the jumping. And I was
Wow.
like, that's when the kind of alarm bells went off in my head. I was like, there has to be a better way of doing this that is all low impact, but still effective, like still an amazing burn. So not yoga, it's like, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be either that like jump squats, like burpees, all the things, or yoga. There's this beautiful in between where you can do an amazing, effective workout that's fun and like actually like gives you like a really good burn.
I love that. It's so crazy because in my life, I've found as I'm getting older and doing a lot of therapy and finding workouts I enjoy, it felt like I was torn between those two extremes of like
Yes.
crazy Zen, deep breathing, calm yoga, which is awesome. But some days I need to exert my energy, but I don't want to go to those crazy jumping workouts. So that in between and being able to create a platform to serve that to people is awesome and promote that that's okay and that's encouraged to feel good, tone a little, but not feel like you're going to die at the end.
Exactly. That's exactly it. That's like you summarized it in like a sentence.
Yeah. Oh
Love
my
it.
gosh. I want to go back to what you were saying at the start of your fitness journey when your mom passed. Did you find that it's interesting you kind of walked into the workout space when she had already left you and you kind of saw a glimpse of what her life in the fitness world was like when she was still here?
The timing was not great. I often early days, especially after my mom passed away, I would always say, wow, like I wish I had gotten into fitness and we could have had this experience together, especially because my mom passed away when I was 20 years old, which I feel like it's like that pivotal time where I think had she not have passed away, our relationship would have really flourished because I was coming out of my difficult teenage years, rebellious teenage years where, we were like fighting all the time, like normal teenager
Yeah.
mom stuff. Um, and so, into my early 20s where I was maturing, and I feel like we would have had a much better relationship. And it's like a little bit sad for me to think about how, we could have bonded over fitness. At the same time, though, I'm not sure that this would have been my path had my mom not have passed away. So I also try to remember that everything happens exactly as it's supposed to. Like that first workout class that I went to that was in my mom's honor, that was what started my whole fitness journey. Had that not have happened, I don't know. Like I think my life would look really different. I also don't think I would have been so brave as to quit my finance life and do fitness full time had my mom not have passed away. I feel like that was a really pivotal moment in my life that made me realize life is so short and precious. And I don't want to spend time like doing things I don't really like, not being happy, not taking good care of myself. It was an important moment. And I, obviously it was very difficult for my mom to pass away, but I always try and like think about the silver lining, and it has shaped my whole future in life. So I am grateful in many ways for that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've had some people pass in my life too, and anytime there's been a huge loss, I always look at my life and go, well, one, I'm reminded of how short our lives are and how
Mhm.
easily they can be taken away, and I question, okay, well, what am I doing? Am I loving what I'm doing? Am I, really expressing myself in the way I want to? And what would I change? And so I want to hear more if you would be into talking about your grieving process too and how fitness and leaving your job was involved in all of that after your mom passed away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say like all of this happened over a long time. It wasn't like my mom passed away and it was suddenly like, okay, life is short. I got to make the most of it and I got to quit my like no. It 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 was like many years into my finance career where I really started to process how short life is. Like it was like my mom passing away was the first thing that happened, and then all these other series of events happened. Um, and all that buildup made me realize that I need to constantly be reassessing where I'm at and how happy I am, like you said, and not just in career, but in life too. Who am I spending time with? Do they really like give me energy? Do they make me feel really good, or do I feel drained? Same thing about career. Same thing about where I live or how I'm spending my time or where I'm traveling to. And I guess the point is like that didn't happen overnight. It happened through many years of suffering through things and people and situations that I didn't actually really want to be in or like. But it takes a lot of time to get there and bravery, I think, to like make that change. The first few years after my mom passed away, I think I really tried to distract and just my mom passed away in between my third and fourth year in school. So actually right around
Yeah.
your stage in
Right
life,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going into your fourth year, right? So
Yeah.
that was the year my mom passed away. And I feel like I really distracted. I went back to school in September. I was supposed to work that summer and I told them that I couldn't. So that I was happy that I did that. I took those couple months. But then I went back to school in September. And then the following September, I started my full-time job and I worked there. One job for 3 years and then I switched jobs. And it was only like once I settled into my career that I really started to process all of this and think about what I actually wanted. I feel like when you graduate school, there's so often this like trajectory that like everyone's just like, I gotta get a job, I gotta do this. And I was on that. And then a few years later, it was like, okay, let me take a step back and reassess and really think about what my loss in my life and the grief has taught me. Which it was hard. And then actually acting on it is harder.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you shared all of that because it's true that especially losing someone so significant in your life, that is going to be an entire journey of grief and it's going to look different at every stage of life. And it is that time is, which is the time I'm in right now of going into my fourth year, being almost done school is terrifying. And how did you cope with growing up and kind of having these realizations over the years and adjusting to friendships changing in your life and realizing that some values with people that you were close to might be shifting?
Oh, it was hard. I've had a few really significant friendships in my life from that time go. They are no longer. And it was so hard. It was like death and other deaths in my life, I felt like. But the reality was the reality is that I am not the same person as I was then. And it's okay for the people in my life to reflect that. And it's okay for me to make that choice to no longer have people in my life. And it's also okay for those people to make that choice that I am different now and I don't belong in their life anymore. But it was so hard. I wish I had gone to therapy sooner.
Yeah. That's what I say all the time. I'm like, thank God I started during COVID. I started at like 19 when like luckily like my school offered like 3 free sessions and I was like, yes, please.
Wow, that's really great. I feel like there's so much more of an emphasis on mental health now, on like providing those services and like making it available to people. Like I'm not that old. Like I'm 31. I was in school, 12 years ago, whatever it is, like 11, 12 years ago. It's not that long ago, but like therapy was like not a thing people really did then. Like I should have been in therapy when my mom passed away, when everything changed in my life, when like my career was happening, like early career days, when these friendships were ending. Like I should have been in therapy the whole time. I think I would have managed it a lot better. I think I was angry for a while and I was not my best self, but I think though it took the friendships ending and being in the depths of low in my career for me to realize like, okay, no, I am in control of this and I can make a change if I want to. But I had to go through like lows to get there. Like my finance days were tough.
Yeah. Well, and it's a really scary leap. I can imagine leaving that corporate world and deciding to go on and be an entrepreneur. Like I'm scared right now just saying people are like, what are you doing when you're done school? And I want to just step into the entrepreneur space. And there's just so much pressure to want to just give that answer of the full-time job, 9 to 5, that people are like, yeah, check mark. How was that transition for you?
Oh, it was so tough. There's so much ego involved. I still to this day, sometimes my instinct is to say that when people ask me what I do, like, oh, I used to be in finance and now I do this, because I feel like that gives me validity. I don't know why. I'm like years out from it, but it's like still my ego is like trying to like get in and it drives me insane. I'm like, no, stop. It was a very, very, very difficult decision. I did both for 2 years. I actually started teaching fitness in person. And then I launched my online fitness platform, and while I had my full-time job for probably 2 years.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was a long time of doing both, of being so burnt out, of not really giving either one 100% because I didn't have the time or the energy to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually, even before taking the leap, I took a sabbatical for 6 months so that I could like test out doing fitness full time. But I think ultimately what it came down to for me in making that decision was, can I live with myself if I don't try fitness full time? And
Mm-hmm.
the answer was no. It was like, for the first while, there was this huge focus on all that I was going to lose by leaving my finance job, the stability, financial stability, the validity of like, I work in finance, and that whole ego aspect, and the trajectory of my career that had become pretty clear and everything. But then there was this shift that was like, okay, but what happens if I don't leave? Like, can I live with myself? And the
Yeah.
answer really was no. And so I always encourage everyone. I get a lot of questions of like, how do I start something on the side, or how do I leave my full-time job to do something else? And I think you have to ask yourself, like, can you live with yourself if you don't? Because if the answer is no, you have to try, and you can always go back to the thing that you were doing before. You can always get a full-time job. Even graduating out of school, I'm sure a lot of your listeners are around your stage in life. You can always get a job, but it's not always the right time to start your own business. It's a
Yeah.
lot easier to start your own business or freelance or do like something creative when you're younger, when you don't have a family, when you don't have a significant other or kids or like so much responsibility, when it's just you. And if you're passionate about something, it's like you just have to do it. You just have to.
I've heard on a podcast that like your dream, if it is so truly your dream, it will come back up again and again. If you are not living in a way that's true to what your dream life is, it's going to come later. And it'll, if I, don't pursue podcasting and entrepreneurship right out of university, I can guarantee you 5 years down the line, 10, 20 years down the line, it's still going to be in my brain. And so that's really, really great advice.
It's so true. I've heard a similar saying in a little bit of a different way, but it was like, if you don't realize what your body and mind is trying to tell you, something's going to come into your life to bulldoze you to make you realize.
Oh my
So
God, so good.
yeah, it's like, whoa, yeah. Like it's one of those things. It's like, if you think back to, like anything that's happened that's meant to be in your life, it's like sometimes you get an idea early on, but you're not listening, you're not listening, you're not listening. And then something happens that forces you to listen. And that for me, actually, in finance was a super toxic boss. He was like brutal, made me feel like crap. I feel like had I not have worked with him, I could have stayed on that trajectory for a longer period of time because it was like manageable. Like it was not the best environment, super stressful. I was always put on the spot, yelled at, like made to feel like brutal. But it was kind of like, okay, well, I'll just keep doing this and then maybe I'll get promoted or maybe I'll move to another department or whatever, whatever. What happened was this boss came in and bulldozed me into realizing that this is not a life for me because he was extra mean, made me feel like extra shit. Like I would come home from crying all the time. Sometimes I'd be running into the bathroom at the office and crying. Like it was so extreme. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
that emotional of a person. I'm like a pretty strong, like I can take a lot. But that happened and it just forced me to realize that like this is not the life. So, that was in my finance life, but now then thinking about my personal life, there's so many things that have come in and bulldozed me. So it's like important to listen and pay attention to those things.
Yeah. And that's like coming full circle back to like lower impact workouts. That's why I think they're
Yeah.
so important, is because they give you a chance to breathe and hear what's going on in your head. And I've talked to my therapist about this too, that your body will give you whispers. Your body will tell you what it needs. And if you don't listen, at one point it's going to yell. Or
Yes.
someone's going to come in like your boss and make it so your body, like your body was yelling at you by like literally forcing you to go cry in the bathroom.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
when you're
so
like, I
true.
have to listen now. I can't continue this.
It's so true. I was so stressed that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Like it was like It got to the point that it was so bad that I had to make a change. I was so uncomfortable that I had to make a change. I'm trying to practice making changes before it gets to that level of discomfort. Like, does it need to be torture? No.
And that's why, like, I love
sometimes you need to get there.
Yeah, totally. And I'm so glad we're sharing this story for my listeners too, because I really hope that they can take away from it that, like, when you hear your body telling you what it wants, telling you what your dreams are, telling you what kind of lifestyle you'd prefer, you can listen before you force yourself to go in a situation just because you feel like it's the right thing to do or you need the approval of other people.
It's so true, but that is hard. It is
Yeah.
hard. And I want everyone who's maybe in that situation to also give themselves a little bit of grace, and myself included, because sometimes it takes time to get there. And that's okay too, because there's lessons in the time, and
Yeah.
trusting that, like, it will happen when it's supposed to. And if you need to get to if you can make a change before you get to that point, great, love it, like, amazing. But if you can't, like, that's okay, because there's a lesson in that. And so you just need to trust the process and give yourself a little bit of grace on that. I'm in a situation like that right now in my personal life. And it's freaking hard because I want the answers. But I think because I don't have the answers, that means I'm not done learning yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I'm also going through a similar situation where I moved downtown. I've lived down there before and I thought I was going to love it. And I don't feel the same way I did 2 years ago pre-pandemic. And it's interesting because I'm committed to a lease. So I know the duration that I'm going to be in the situation. And I know there's lessons with it. But at the same time, it's easy to have that negative self-talk of, how could you not have like seen this coming? Or why didn't you know about this before? Like there were signs, but there are so many lessons in the phase you're in now. And I think that
100%.
Wherever you're at, a lot of times, not everything is going to be the perfect situation you could have dreamed of between your career and your personal life and your family life. There's always something that there's things to learn from.
Totally. And course correct with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
I saw that someone asked a question on your Instagram about how they said, like, you look super lean and how did you get so fit? And you actually responded saying you've been under a lot of stress. And I'd love to hear about how you felt that is reflected in your life, in your body, in your business as well.
Oh boy, that's a good question, because I just shared that and no one has really asked me about it yet. So I'm going through some things in my personal life, and I feel like everyone manages stress differently. For me, it affects my sleep. I wake up really early in the morning. Like when I'm stressed, I wake up at 4 a.m. And so when I wake up at 4 a.m., I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because something's happening here. It's like my body being like, okay, you got to deal with this. And I also, my appetite is like not great. Like I'm not as hungry as I normally am. And I love to eat. Like I love all the food, pasta, pizza, chips. Like everyone refers to me as like chip queen. Like I like love it to eat. So it's very weird for me to not have as much of an appetite. So in the last few months, like I don't weigh myself, I don't measure myself, but I have noticed my clothes to fit a little loosely. And someone asked me that, like, how did you lean out? How did you like get into the body that you're in? And it's been really hard. And it's honestly why I haven't done a Q&A on Instagram in a while, because I was a little bit scared of people asking me this question because I didn't really have an answer for a while. Now I'm at the point where I'm okay to share what's going on without getting into the details of my personal life, but I'm not as scared of sharing that, yeah, I probably have lost weight. I'm open to sharing the journey that I'm on, that sometimes it's not exactly as I would want it. Like I never have the intention of changing my body in that way, of losing weight, of trying to be a smaller person, but the circumstances of my life have kind of led me there, even though I'm not trying. And it goes against all my messaging, honestly, because I say this all the time. I'm not about diets. I'm not about over exercising. I'm not about counting calories. So then what happens when I go through a life phase where, oh, I'm like going to get emotional. Like where that is what I'm showing. I was like very stressed about it for a while. And then I kind of took the pressure off myself and realized like it's okay as long as I share that that was not like my intention. Because I am so much about enjoying life and working out because it feels good and eating foods that feel really good and embracing the body that you're in regardless of size. And even saying that out loud now makes me feel a little more okay with where I'm at, because it is regardless of size, smaller body, larger body, and life happens. Like in your body follows whatever happens in your life in different stages of life. Sometimes, like we fluctuate, and as women we even fluctuate like within the month. But it was definitely something that a question I knew was coming and I had been avoiding because I was so in it. And now I'm a little bit more comfortable to say that this is just the stage of life I'm in, and it was not my goal. And that's okay, because I'm trying to, course correct and try and manage as much of it as like I can. It's
Yeah.
I wish I had a better answer. But it's like something I'm dealing with right now. And sometimes when
Yeah.
I'm like in something, it's like hard to have like a really like a great answer to that. Cause like even I just got like emotional thinking about all of this. Cause
Yeah.
I want to be like a good role model for my community. And I want to, I want to be an example of all the things that I preach. But then what
Yeah.
happens when, I find myself in a life situation where my body has changed? I think the only thing I can do is be honest with my
Yeah.
community that this is where I'm at, and explain it. So, people aren't looking at me saying, well, she's all about embracing your body, but like she looks like she lost weight. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you
hard.
for sharing that. And you are being authentic, and that's all you can do. And it was a fantastic answer that you're going through things in your own life. And it's beautiful that you shared saying, this wasn't my goal. I'm under
Yeah.
some stress and it affects our bodies. And I think it's really amazing to see you be vulnerable in that way. And it shows that your mission and what you stand for comes out even more when you're being authentic and being real and saying that this is sometimes what happens to our bodies when we're under stress, and this wasn't my intention, and I don't think it should be yours either.
I appreciate that. It definitely is a lesson in the more open, the better. And like
Mm-hmm.
actually taking my community through the ups and the downs, without getting into the details because there's other people involved and whatever, but like actually being open and sharing the struggles as well as the highs. Sometimes I feel this pressure on social of like, if I don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all, because I view myself, and I think my community views me as like a source of light and inspiration and energy. And I never want people to tune into my social and do my videos and feel like I'm not that, like I'm complaining or that I'm low or whatever. But then I also want to be like real and open. So it's this like
Mm-hmm.
fine line of like how much do you share that keeps it open and keeps the realness there without like bringing people down. Like I want people to come to me and leave my page feeling better, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that people can also leave your page feeling better because of the authenticity and the honesty. And I think it's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure too to take on to always be a light when there's reality in going through hard times and it being seen on your social media. And I think the way you did share it was a really impactful and honest way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Going off on what you were talking about, I think it's really challenging also being in the social media space and setting a boundary of what you want to share and what is a bit too far. And so I think you honestly shared very well and found that little balance to be honest and still share what your mission is with all of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It is hard to set boundaries on what to share and what not to share. And for those boundaries to even be the same over time, like they change.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like what I talked about 2 years ago is not the same as what I'm okay talking about now. and what I'm okay talking about as of a month ago or today. Like it's constantly changing and I'm constantly reevaluating. And even just on a broader scale, like reevaluating my relationship with social media all the time. I'm a little bit in a phase where I feel like I'm on it too much and like
Mm-hmm.
I need to establish better boundaries, but sometimes it's hard when you have good momentum. You almost like don't want to then take a break or like, take a weekend off or take a week off. But it's work at the end of the day. So if you're not doing that, it's like you're working 24/7, which is where I find myself right now. So it's social media and boundaries are like, it's hard. It's so hard. I'm actually, you know what? I'll share this with you. I have a lot going on this week and I'm hosting a really big event on Saturday, but as of Monday till Wednesday, so 2 or 3 whole days, I'm going completely offline and I'm excited about
That's
it.
amazing. I think that's a beautiful thing. Every once in a while, or as much as like your schedule can have room for it, to just completely shut off and like not even go on the apps, it's so important.
It really is because they will like mess with your mind, first of all, just as a user, but then as a content creator as well. I want to make sure what I'm sharing is authentic to me. Like, I don't want to just be recreating what I see in my own way because I just am on it all the time, you
And
know?
you need more time off to actually figure out what you want to create,
Yeah.
because then all your creative ideas get flowing and what's most authentic to you will come up. But if you're constantly looking at your feed, then I think you just automatically go into, oh, well, this is what's trending right now, so I should be making that.
Exactly. Like content creation, like really good content creation comes from living. So like we need to live and turn off our phones to be able to do that. And it's easier said than done because you constantly want to be on your phone and document what you're doing, but to like really come up with great original ideas, for me, I have to be offline for a little bit. So I'm going
Yeah.
to do that next week for a few days.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, before we sign off, I really want to talk about no sacrifices summer. Can you tell us
Yes.
about the whole philosophy around it?
Absolutely. No Sacrifice Summer is my theme of the summer. It's the second year in a row we're doing it. We did it for the first time last year and it was such a hit, resonated so well with everyone. So we're doing it again this year, bigger and better. And it is basically all about living your best life without sacrificing the things that you love. Instead of focusing on getting bikini ready and summer ready and all these things and like restricting yourself ahead of summer or in summer, it's about realizing that you are ready for summer as you are right now. And instead, doing all the things that you love, like putting your energy there, going for brunches, having the pizza, going to pool parties and beach days and all the things, while still fitting in the things that make you feel good, like, quick workouts. I have a section on my site called quickie workouts. They're all like 15, 20 minutes or less. So I encourage people to do those in the summer. So it's like instead of skipping your workout entirely for your pool party, it's like maybe you do a quick 10-minute something and then you go after. Or maybe you don't if you don't feel like it. Like it's up to you. But it's this whole attitude and vibe of like living your best life and giving yourself permission to do that. And our summers here, especially in Canada, they're short. Like, I don't want to waste a minute of it. And I know like
No.
no one else does either. Yeah. Like, and so like I encourage my community, like live it up. Weekdays, weekends, whatever, like have drinks, like do all the things. I'm all about balance. I like to drink alcohol. I'm open about that, but just also do the things that make you feel really good. So maybe that's movement or having, like a green juice in the morning, or a meditation midway through the day, like whatever makes you feel good, do that, but then like let yourself live.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it takes away a lot of the shame around enjoying yourself and eating that food that tastes so good, or having a drink, or however many that you want to have fun and live your best life, because there's so much pressure in the summer to look perfect in a bathing suit and just, post all those banger Instagram photos, when you got to have a balance.
You do. And it's like summer is a lot more fun when you let yourself do that. And don't we
Yeah.
all just want to have a fun summer? So that it's like, I want to give myself and my entire community permission to do that completely guilt free and just enjoy.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so important. I love all the no sacrifice summer like posts that you make. It makes me like, even on a day when you might have drank too much, I'm a little hungover, I get into a bad headspace where I'm like, oh, like, why did you go crazy? Like, and have that many drinks, or you're just feeling terrible right now. But it's like, there's more days to the summer. As long as I'm
Totally.
enjoying myself and finding, the balance that feels good, what else can we ask for?
Exactly. And I actually I'm releasing all summer hungover quickie workouts for those days. So when you yeah, when you wake up and you're like, "Oh damn, I had a little too much fun last night. I don't feel my best." It's like, maybe you don't have energy to like go for a big workout or walk or whatever. So these are 10-15 minute workouts that are all laying down that you can do
Oh,
hungover,
great.
that'll give you the energy, the little boost that you need. Because sometimes, like when you're hungover, all you need is like something to kickstart you getting up and at it. So this is like the first step. You hydrate a little bit, you do one of these workouts, and the goal is that it's enough movement that will make you feel better, but not so much that it's gonna like make your hangover worse.
Yeah, because you can't jump or be in downward dog when you're when you're
No, no,
nursing a bad
no. This is
hangover.
all like literally laying down on your side, laying on
I
your
love
back, like
it. Doing some stretches,
yeah.
a little bit of abs, maybe.
Exactly. A little bit of like leg lifts and like that sort of thing. Honestly, I'm excited about them. I know I'll be doing them all summer long, like especially
Yeah.
Monday mornings after like a weekend of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
That's so great. I love it. I feel like that's a niche I haven't seen in the workout space either. And that's something that I crave. And I like want to get in the movement when I'm not feeling my best. But it's like, I want to feel safe that I won't enter into a workout and then completely regret it.
Totally. I know what you mean. And that's like I see a space there as well. And I feel like I'm filling that space. There's no one else that I know of that's embracing the life of balance in fitness the way that I am. There are people who they like to go out, sure, and they share that they are eating this or drinking that, but I'm like making it a lifestyle because at the end of the day, like I am a fitness instructor and I'm a content creator and all the things, but I'm a regular girl who likes to work out. I'm not like a fitness fanatic. And most people are like me, like
Yeah.
they like to live their lives and then they get in their workout in so that they feel really good and then they move on with their days. And that's like that's where I'm at. And that's where I'm creating this whole space of like encouraging people to go out and drink and eat and do all the things and then just like fit in some wellness. Like that's it,
Yeah.
and take the
Yeah.
pressure off.
I love it. And when you can incorporate both, I think both feel even better and you don't feel as much guilt and you're not as hard on yourself, which is everything we've been talking about, needing to
Exactly.
change.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. I loved this conversation. I appreciate you getting vulnerable and sharing a lot of your own personal stories as well. I feel like there was just so much that I took away from this too, let alone I hope what the listeners take away.
Good. Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely conversation. And I feel like you create a safe space for me to open up more than I have on certain things, in the past. So I really appreciate that. If any of your audience is interested in being a part of No Sacrifice Summer, doing my workouts, they can head to my website, asculptbody.com/no sacrifice summer. So everything, and
Perfect.
it's actually like in the link in my bio on Instagram and TikTok as well. So you can just click there and I've got in-person events. I have a quickie schedule all summer, hungover quickie workouts. I have merch that's all no sacrifice themed.
That's
I
awesome.
actually, is my hat here? Oh no, I brought my hat downstairs. I have a hat that's no sacrifice.
I love it. Well, I've seen them on Instagram too, and
Yeah.
they're very cool and simple, and they're not
Yes.
too in your face, but they're really
No,
fun.
no. I didn't want to do merch that was like annoying merch. I wanted it to be like a vibe, you know?
You want merch that people wear every day, not when they're like
Exactly.
diehard fans. It's the people in the
Exactly.
middle.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, on Instagram and TikTok, I'm at Alessia Sculpt. So give me a follow and would love to have everyone be a part of No Sacrifice Summer as well.